Welcome to Radiant Reflections, an audio transformative journey hosted by me, Rob Cook. I hope today's topic inspires you to have the day you deserve. Welcome to Day 5, Confronting My Fears. I remember my mentor telling me a story once. He was on a game show, and his job was to cure the contestants of a fear of spiders. And so he was explaining how they were backstage and all of the contestants were hooked up to heart rate monitors. And the producer came in and began to explain to them how the show would go. And he held up a clear box, which everyone in the room could see. They also could see that there was nothing inside of the box. He goes on to tell them that once the show starts, they'll all get that clear box on stage, but inside that box would be a spider. And my mentor talks about how he watched everyone's heart rate shoot through the roof. And it was then that he noticed they weren't afraid of spiders. They were afraid of what they thought of spiders. Hearing that story from him sparked this own intrigue or exploration within myself to challenge my own fears. And at that particular time, the scariest thing to me was jumping out of an airplane. And so I had it set up so that I could face it. Might also heard a quote from a gentleman that said, "On the other side of fear is bliss." And it was something about that quote that resonated deeply with me, and I wanted to find out more of what it meant. And there I was, facing or confronting the biggest fear I'd ever had, jumping out of an airplane. And I'll say it was such an interesting experience because on the way up, there was nothing else I could think about but all of the things that I was scared of and that would happen and that were going to happen. And why was I even doing this? And those continued all the way up until the moment the door on the plane became open and I realized I'd never been on an aircraft with the door open. Why was I jumping out of a perfectly good airplane? I was asking myself. But there were a few other things that were happening at that moment. One is a paralyzing effect from the fear. I mean, I literally could not move my legs to position myself to get ready for the jump. I had to, use my hands and my arms to kind of move my legs. It was the scariest moment of my life. We jumped. And I tell you, for the first couple seconds, I just thought I had made the worst mistake of my life. But after about 6 or 7 seconds, which felt like an eternity, I'll admit, but about 5 or 6 seconds, the realization set in that I was in fact flying. I wasn't falling. And if I wasn't falling, I didn't have to be scared. And before you know it, I'm screaming in the GoPro cam, "Woohoo! Yeah!" with the hang loose sign. It was one of the best feelings I'd ever had before in my life. I was then steering the parachute as I was coming down and looking out over the beautiful world that was underneath me. And as we got about tree level, the instructor or the tandem jump master said, "All right, Rob, this is what I want you to do when we land." And at that moment, it hit me. And fear set in yet again, because not once during this entire experience did I ever think about landing. I was so scared to jump that I didn't even ask the most important question after jumping out of an airplane, which is how do I land? Panic was setting in. I had no choice but to listen. And he would tell me the instructions and I would, perform them and we would land safely. And when I jumped up, I was just so frustrated because I said, "Why didn't you tell me about landing?" And he kind of laughed and said, "But you didn't ask." And on the ride back to the vehicle, I was thinking about what the effects of fear had actually done to me. One was it paralyzed me. Two was it allowed me not to see the options or the things that I needed to see. But the other part that I saw that was so confusing was that it was innocently done. It was my system trying to protect me. And also, I noticed something that really changed my entire relationship with fear. And that was that there was a huge difference between fear and danger. But truth is, when those situations of high conflict came about, I just kind of reacted to the danger. My system kicked in, and instinctively I performed whatever action was required to remain alive. But this fear that I had about jumping out the plane was different, because I created these scenarios that wasn't real. Realizing the difference between fear and danger, I had this trust that developed within myself, and that I didn't need the fear to scare me. I didn't need the fear to close off options and opportunities for me and my vision and my thinking. I didn't need the fear to scare the crap out of me so that I wouldn't do what it was that I wanted to do in my life. And that's how I confronted my fears. Do I still get scared of things today? Absolutely. But I now know what fear is. It's just an attempt to protect me from something that I think is going to harm me. But I don't have to believe it. Neither do you. And that's what we're going to do for your practical application today. You're going to write down the scariest moment of your life. And you're going to look at it and see the beauty and how you were able to create something to get you out of it, so that you're here experiencing this today. And once that kind of illuminates for you just what fear is, false evidence appearing real, then you know you just don't have to trust it anymore. And you totally change your relationship with it. It just looks different. If you made it to this part of the audio, just know that I love you and I thank you for partnering with me on Radiant Reflections. And I put this at the end just to see how many people would get to it. And if you do get to it, know it was intended for you to hear that I love you. And I hope this is one of the most transformative audio journeys that you will ever experience. Have the day you deserve.